Joining me right now is Jose Shorty Torres, the champ, Titan FC, flyweight and bantamweight champion. Welcome to Kumite Radio.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me on.
Now, I wanted to first talk about, your title defense at Titan FC 48. Very impressive, with your precision punching, and you called your shot. You said you were going to finish him in the first round. You did what you did. When you look back now, it's been a couple days. How do you assess your performance?
Oh man, it was exactly as I predicted, which is crazy because it never ever happens that way. For me, my goal is to fight the guy, hopefully beat him in the first round, and just be as healthy as possible, just in case something pops up last minute. And for me, this is the first time, at least in 3 fights, that I haven't been injured. My last 2 fights, I broke my hand, tore my MCL, and the last one I took so many calf kicks and stitches that I had to again deny 6 UFC fights. So for me, it's like, wow, I'm healthy. I don't know what to do now. Like I'm so used to just being injured and taking time off. Now I'm healthy. I'm even, I worked out the day after, and I'm just, I'm just happy that I can keep on training and just be ready for whatever's next.
You paid tribute to your father in this fight. How does it feel to make your father proud? Because every kid's dream, part of their dream, is to make their parents proud of them.
Yeah, sadly I didn't get to do the homage that I wanted to do. My sponsored fight gear was supposed to come out in purple and black, but my gear actually never made it to the event. It just, bad shipping details, and it just never happened. But I mean, my dad knew that the fight was dedicated to him, and my dad wanted two things in life. He wanted to be a fighter, and he wanted to be a painter, or at least a very, very good artist. And well, he had 2 kids. One of them's a very good artist, and one of them's a very good fighter. So I wanted to pay tribute to him and show that I know you gave me a very, very rough childhood, but, you gave me a better life than what you had. So job well done. And, in this fight, I got the knockout. I know he was crying after the fight and very, very happy and very ecstatic about it. But it's really cool to have just both my parents by my side and know that all the time and hours that they spent into me of, taking me to martial arts and really just keeping me focused. And mainly when I was a bad kid when I was younger, it's all paid off.
But I saw that you guys were wearing the hats. The colors of the hats were matching, right?
Yeah, everything worked out well. Again, my brother's like my biggest fan, so he's a big fanboy. So he's like, "You're coming on purple and black. I'm making purple and black hats. I'm making it for everybody. We're all doing." I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever you want, man." So it worked out again really, really well, and I'm just happy that again everyone was just smiling after the fight. I'm not injured. I'm not beat up. We're not at the hospital. I'm not bleeding. I'm not broken. So again, we're able to just enjoy ourselves, and I'm back home in Chicago for a week, enjoying time with my family, and I travel so much, so it's nice to be able to just settle down, enjoy a fat week, and just spend time with my family and friends.
Yeah, hashtag fat week. I guess you got to make that now.
Hashtag chipmunk cheeks. That's pretty much what I got right now.
You talked about, you've been very open about your father, being in that, in the street life. Now, when you were growing up, was the street life something that you were like very, standoffish about, or were you kind of lured into it a little bit? And how did you keep yourself away from that?
For me, I honestly had the two, I wouldn't say worst role models, but very bad role models, which were my brother and my father. My mother was the educated one in the family. She had a proper job, and she did everything appropriately, but she's the one that kept me in school. My brother and father were all about the gang life. They were all about drugs and money. And naturally, as a boy growing up, you look up to your big brother, you look up to your father. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to be just like them, or this is cool. That's not, I got to do this stuff. I'm a gangster. I'm a real G. Like I gotta do this stuff. And it's crazy because, my father at the time was in his 30s. My brother's slowly in his teens and into his 20s. And they would literally stop me right before I started doing stuff and go, don't be like us. No, you do this route. Be like mom, go to school, do that. And even though I still had to do some of the stuff that my family did, they got me out at really pretty much the right time and kept me out of the streets. I mean, I had to do my fair share of really dumb stuff, but again, it made me tough and it made me the person I am today.
Do you think that the media kind of promotes that too much? Like it's something that is luxurious, something that is, like pleasing for the person to be a gangster?
Yeah, man. Actually, I was talking about that to another friend of mine who graduated high school with me today, and was like, man, it's crazy because the people talking about that these days are, the little whatevers, the freshman year rappers, stuff like that. They did none of it, but they're posing, and the kids are just eating it all up, and they think that's the way you're supposed to do it. Doesn't matter what nationality, white, Asian, Latino, black. Like, they just feel like you're supposed to be doing the drugs, you're supposed to be calling women this, doing that, and it's like, why? Like, I given I was that usual trend where, at least back in my day, 90s and early 2000s, where I'm wearing the shirt that doesn't fit me, it's all the way down to my knees, I'm wearing big chains for no apparent reason, I'm wearing do rags, but I have no crazy hair, and I'm doing really, really dumb stuff, and I become an adult, and I'm like, man, I would have slapped the hell out of myself if I would have saw him. It's really crazy, but yeah, everything's social media, everything's on music these days, and it's baffling that all these kids are eating it up. I don't know why that's become such a huge trend, but I mean, you look back in the day, the class clown is usually the cool guy in class for some reason, but he's not the smartest. He's not the And for me, I was the class clown, and I really had to struggle just to go to school because I really had to catch up. And for me, I wish I would have been the nerd. I wish I would have been the geek. I wish I could have done all these things, but I was able to do it later on in my life, and because of it, I've been able to be so successful.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they grow up and realize that, hey, when you actually went to school, you wanted to be the nerd because you wanted to be the Mark Zuckerberg or those types
Yeah,
of people, right?
yeah. I mean, well, everyone in my neighborhood, we're all Latinos, so everyone's a handyman. Everyone's either cutting grass or doing plumbing or doing construction. And hey, man, I'm not doubting any of those jobs, and we always need people to do that, but everyone is doing it, but I know guys that were just super talented, mainly in sports, and they just weren't smart. They just never tried. They were the jocks having other people do their homework, which, hey, man, again, I was able to pay tribute to that because I had people do my homework too. But by the time I go, it's either military, it's working at McDonald's, or I try to go to school. And I really put 100% full effort when I went to junior college because I did so well, and I did so well in wrestling as well. I ended up getting a full scholarship, and I busted my balls just to get everything done, and it really was difficult. But I know if I would have been, the class nerd, it would have been so much easier.
Yeah, for sure. Now, growing up in Chicago, Chicago's a big sports town. Who was the like your sports hero growing up?
you know, for me, I don't know if I have sports here, at least from Chicago. I know my father was Walter Payton, Michael Jordan, all these, legends in the making and stuff like that. But, my dad used to make me watch boxing fights. Didn't matter if it was big time boxing fights like Manny Pacquiao or Mayweather, or if it was like the little Mexican shows where it's just the local guys going at it. For some reason, we always watched it, and then we play fight between every single round. The round was, over. We start fighting. Round's about to start. We start watching the fight. So I was always into fighting. I started martial arts. I was 4. My biggest role model growing up was Manny Pacquiao.
Mm.
Manny Pacquiao started at 108, got his first belt at 112, and ended his career at 154. Like the guy did spectacular things, and he's never been the big guy in any fight. And for me, I was like, that's awesome. I'm the small guy. I've always been the smallest guy. The only thing regular about me is the size of my head. So I'm just like, this is awesome. Like, this is a small guy doing big things. If he can do it, why can't I? And so far, I'm a two-weight class champion. As an amateur, I fought between 125 and 155, the same thing as Manny Pacquiao. And I wanted to be able to compare myself to some of the greats. And so far, I'm trying my best to do so, and really paper-wise showing my fights that I can hang with the best in the world.
Before your last title fight, a lot of guys pulled out. They didn't want to fight you.
Yeah.
Are you worried that you're gonna run out of opponents to fight?
So, my next level hopefully is the UFC. And the crazy thing was I got called 6 times by the UFC, and sadly, just injuries happened. I couldn't take the fight. It was horrible timing. And then I got called for UFC Charlotte because some fights actually backed out. They need to make new fights happen, and they go, Shorty, we like you a lot, we want you, but we can't sign you immediately. But here, we'll give you 2 opponents. You pick whichever one you want. I go, you know what? I really don't care. How about this? Whichever one will fight me. Both those guys denied the fight. So it's like, I'm either injured or UFC fighters don't want to fight me. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I got to fight for Titan. I still have to make a living for myself, and I don't get paid much through Titan. So I was like, all right, let's fight the number 2 guy. I do believe 100% in the ranking system. So I go, oh, okay, I beat the champion. I'm the champ. Now let's beat the number 1 guy. I've already beat the number 1 guy. All right, cool. Number 2, number 3, number 4, all of them denied the fight. So it's like, what the hell? Like I need to fight someone. Well, Alberto Oriano was the guy to be just brave enough to accept the fight. He saw the opportunity in the making, and even though it didn't work out well for him, I commend him for doing that. It's the whole Apollo Rocky, type of thing where Apollo's just like, forget it. No one wants to fight me. I've already beaten the best. Let's just find some random local guy and see, how it works out.
UFC 225, June 9th. You're campaigning hard to get on that card. You just told me that people denied you that are already in the UFC. They don't want to match up against you. If you could choose an opponent that is in the UFC, who would be an ideal opponent to make your debut against?
See, the debut one is hard because obviously I want to look good, I want to feel good, and I want to go against someone good enough. But I'm not saying I want an easy fight, but I definitely want it to be an appropriate fight. Mainly for a UFC debut. But for me, with the way I've been moving up so fast in my career with 7-0, 3 title defenses, 2 belts, 2 different weight classes, and I think the fun fight that fans really, really want to see is Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott is a fantastic fighter. He's always exciting. I've trained and lived with the guy before in a training camp when he was getting ready for Demetrius Johnson. I was getting ready for one of his former opponent, Pedro Nobra. And I mean, we helped each other a lot. We even talked about fighting each other. We're like, dude, that'd be awesome just because of our fighting style. I never stopped pushing forward, and you never know what he's doing. Hell, he never even knows what he's doing. It's crazy how him and I compare to each other all the time. And he's the former Titan FC champ at the flyweight division. I'm the current champ. It'd just be really, really cool just to see who would have been the real undisputed champion.
You are on a crazy win streak, going even back to your amateur days. How do you stay grounded? Who or what keeps you in check?
Man, everyone. I'm on a 32 fight win streak. But again, I never did this sport to be the best. I never did this sport to be a champion. I lost every single first fight, so I know how it is to lose. It's not fun at all, but it's a learning experience. And honestly, I'm kind of excited to finally get that next challenge to where, I have to come back through adversity. Maybe it just doesn't happen. I don't get the win. I want to see how much better I come back after that, because if I didn't lose my first fight in any of them, I never would have been, a 2-time world champ and 32 fight win streak and all the record that I have now. So I'm excited to see what happens next. But for me, I have a lot of coaches from all over the world, and they always tell me, when you get cocky, that's when you get knocked out. You see the Cody Garbrandt, you see the Ronda Rousey, you see all these people that are great and they're humble, and out of nowhere they just start talking to smack. Young Jacek again is one of them, and out of nowhere everyone's in the bandwagon until they lose, and then they just get smashed to the ground. And I don't want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. If I lose, I want people to still support me and go, that's the people's champ. That's the guy I still want to see fight, even if he loses. I do this sport for fun. I don't do this sport to mock anyone, to bully anyone, or to be that guy that's always talking smack. My smack talk is, in the cage, and I walk the walk instead of talk the talk. So I just do my thing, and I try to inspire more instead of, showing all this hate and being like the social media and all those guys out there.
I'm going to make my prediction for your future.
No,
Shorty
let's
Torres versus Tim Elliott, kicking off UFC 225 pay-per-view portion. I think the stars are going to align for you, Shorty.
I think that's an amazing fight. He doesn't have a fight plan. I know he's definitely calling out Henry Cejudo, but we don't know what's next. A lot of people are saying that I might fight Ryan Benoit, but I know he's recovering. I believe he's still recovering from a broken hand. I don't know if he's fully recovered yet, but I don't see myself fighting anyone below the top 10. My record, my accolades, everyone that just got signed to the UFC, that'd be a horrible fight for them to take against me, just because it's a high caliber fight with a guy who technically doesn't have a ranking yet in the UFC. It's a lose-lose for them. But for the guys in the top 10, that's something to prove that they deserve to be up there. And for me, it's something to prove that I deserve to fight some of the best.
If you could give a message to the division your division in the UFC, what would the message be?
Man, the message. Let's see. If you're not exciting, don't call me out. I don't want to fight a Henry Cejudo who's gonna lay and pray. I don't want to fight some of those guys that honestly don't deserve to be in the UFC. I deserve to fight guys like Tim Elliott, Joseph Benavidez, Demetrius Johnson, those guys that are going out there, for the finish. And for me, I've gotten 3 fights at flyweight division. I've knocked them all out. Do you want to be the next one to get knocked out?
All right, Shorty, thank you for your time, man. I look forward to seeing you in the octagon in Chicago, UFC 225.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time, and I can't wait till next time.